News in detail. The governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, has described as sheer wickedness the destruction of medical consumables and equipment running into hundreds of millions of naira at the Edo State Medical Store Complex, Medical Store Road, Benin City, by people who claim to be looking for food items. Governor Obaseki, who spoke on Sunday after an on-the-spot assessment of the damage done at the facility with the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, said the development means a step backward in the effort to rebuild the state healthcare system. Chinedu Ekeja reports that over 50 people have been arrested with exhibits in connection with the incident, while more investigations are ongoing. In our reports,
the Edo State Medical Storage Warehouse is a huge facility with over 7 units of warehouse buildings holding large volumes of medicaments and other medical supplies that feed the entire hospital network in Edo State. Unfortunately, the facilities were invaded on Saturday by some residents who had mistaken them for government food storehouse.
Yeah, we don't succeed last. We tell them we'll run out. We don't run out today. Now we run out. The team plenty. Now medical.
The aftermath was a painful sight to behold, as hundreds of millions of naira worth of medical consumables and equipment were destroyed and littered around the premises, while a large amount of other essential drugs were carted away. Governor Obaseki described the incident as a setback in the ongoing efforts to salvage the already fragile healthcare system of the state. He insisted that the motives of the looters were beyond the NSAS campaign, especially as witnessed in Edo State.
Very, very sad. Understand that the people who attend our hospitals are not the wealthiest in our society. They are the poorest. For people to do this to our healthcare system is essentially very wicked. This is a healthcare system that is already weak, that we are trying to do all we can to strengthen with the assistance of the federal government and other agencies. For people to now come in and destroy the little we have, that tells you that this is clearly not the intention of the NSAS protesters. It's gone beyond that, and as I keep saying in the case of Edo, there is much more to it.
He said though a portion of the facility was used as the state's strategic reserve for emergencies, it never had any of the COVID-19 relief items.
You know, you need to give palliatives to flood victims or children in hospitals who need food for rehydration. So there were not large amounts. This was not the main store where palliatives were kept. The main warehouses are all empty because they've all been shed out.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, is calling on those involved to assist in returning the items as they may not find use for them. He assured that the federal government would intervene after the evaluation of the items destroyed.
These are all meant to prevent disease, a lot of the vaccines, and to support the treatment. And if you take it away from the health system, it's going to have effect and repercussions. And I hope that the community, if they know of where these things have been taken to, will urge for those that can still be reused to be returned, not to throw them into the bush. A lot of them are very expensive medicines and vaccines for which they have no use, and have broken in here in the belief that there is food and there is just medicines. And after damage assessment, we also want to begin to look for sources of funds so that you have money stored away if you have to mobilize from other sources.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Johnson Kokumo, who admitted his men were on ground at the time of the invasion, said about 50 people have been arrested and they were helping with further investigation. He also dispelled reports that people were shot at during the attack by the police.
We have deployments from the Nigerian police, from the military, the Army, Air Force, we have the civil defense, we have the DSS. Our deployments were made early, and people were fully on the ground. If you look around, you see that this is a very, very large expense. And the people surged in from different angles, and the people attacked from all angles. And we exercised enough restraints in the use of lethal weapon. So what we have is to reduce possible casualties. Otherwise, the number of deaths we will be talking about now would have been a completely different story by now. We have made substantial arrests. For this operation alone, we have in our custody over 50 people who are arrested with exhibits, medical equipment stolen from here.
The Deputy Governor, Comrade Philip Shaibu, Secretary to the State Government, Barrister Sarodion Oge, and heads of other security agencies were on the assessment tour. The looters also set ablaze a small building within the premises after making away with the content. Chinedu Ekeja, KUFM News.
The Edo government has ordered the reopening of private and public schools across the state from today, October the 26th, for normal academic activities. Edo State Commissioner for Education, Barrister Jimo Ijegbai, disclosed this on Sunday evening. Recall that private and public schools in the state were shut last week over safety concerns following the outbreak of violence during the NSAS protest. But the government has announced that private and public schools remain closed in the state. The Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Motosho, announced this on Sunday. He had earlier tweeted that only public schools remain closed in the state before giving an update that the extended closure includes private schools. Still in Lagos, the Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has again reviewed the curfew imposed on the state to curb the civil unrest in the aftermath of the NSAS protests against police brutality. Sanwo-Olu had eased the 24-hour curfew on Friday to start from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. But in a notice on Sunday evening by his Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Motosho, the governor said the curfew time is now between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m., meaning that residents can go out by 6 a.m. and return home before 8 p.m. Meanwhile, members of the Federal Executive Council from the Southwest Zone and governors in the zone visited Sanwo-Olu on Sunday. The governors and the ministers were in Lagos to commiserate with Sanwo-Olu over the large-scale destruction of public and private facilities by hoodlums who had hijacked the NSAS protests. The delegation condemned the wanton destruction in the state by hoodlums and urged residents to embrace peace and eschew violence. The delegation included Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, as well as Governors Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo, Seyi Makinde of Oyo, Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti, among others. Hundreds of residents of Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, on Sunday afternoon invaded the Idu industrial layout, raiding several warehouses in search of palliatives. The residents made away with bags of rice, cartons of tinned tomatoes, cereal, milk, bales of Ankara materials, and other items. It was observed that despite the presence of policemen, the crowd had their way into the warehouses. They were seen loading tricycles and motorcycles with the goods, even as policemen fired tear gas. Some of the residents were on Saturday prevented from looting a warehouse at the UTC Market Area 10, Gariki, Abuja. The looting of palliatives, however, turned tragic in Kogi State as 4 persons died on Sunday afternoon as hundreds of residents stormed a warehouse in Lokoja in search of COVID-19 palliatives. The warehouse, located along the Matala Mohammed Way, close to Pata, was reportedly invaded as early as 7 a.m. on Sunday. The fatalities, it was gathered, resulted from the stampede by residents who rushed at the government warehouse. Meanwhile, the government has expressed appreciation to residents who turned out to share in the palliatives. The Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fanwo, in a statement on Sunday, said reports at their disposal showed that local government authorities ensured the palliatives reached the masses and helped in ameliorating the hardship visited on the nation as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Coming up in a moment after this break, more reports on the invasion of warehouses. Stay with us, please.
At split seconds, there's a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work, families, and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having a reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break from Nigeria and across the world. We would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
Welcome back. Over 100 suspects have been arrested in Plateau State for allegedly invading a warehouse in the state's agricultural development program. This was disclosed by the commander of Operation Safe Haven, Major General Chukwuemeka Okonkwo, on Sunday in Jos. He said security operatives cannot watch what he describes as misguided elements and hoodlums destroying government and private properties. Okonkwo noted that security personnel swung into action to arrest the suspect to serve as a deterrent to others. The suspects said to have destroyed the warehouse were arrested at Dogondutsi, around Angwan Rukuba and west of Mines, as well as Dogonlo at Custom Warehouse. Some items recovered from the suspects include fertilizers, pumping machines, agrochemicals, generators, trailer tubes, and other farming items that are not foodstuffs. While noting that the suspects include 105 male and 13 female, the commander assured that all of them will be prosecuted. Daughter of President Muhammadu Buhari, Zara Buhari Indimi, has pointed out that the recent discovery of COVID-19 palliatives stored in various warehouses across the country is valid proof that her father is not the problem of Nigeria. Zara Buhari said the discovery of the food items and other palliatives stored in various warehouses gives credence to the fact that her father is concerned about the welfare of his people. In one of her Instagram stories on Sunday, Zara said now that people confirm that Buhari distributed enough palliatives nationwide, it is clear that Buhari is not the nation's problem. Zara's comment comes on the heels of several reports showing certain warehouses being looted by thousands of Nigerians in different states. President Muhammadu Buhari has broken his silence on the shooting of NSAS protesters in Lekki, Lagos by suspected security operatives almost a week after. He vowed to ensure justice for peaceful protesters who lost their lives. The president, in a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, explained he decided not to talk on the shooting incident until he had access to all the facts. He also promised property owners and business owners affected by the arson across the nation would get justice. President Buhari has asked his ministers to relocate to their home states for the purpose of dousing the tension created by the NSAS protests and the lawlessness that followed. The ministers are scheduled to meet with stakeholders to explain federal government's efforts to meet the demands of the youth. Niger Delta Affairs Minister Godswill Akpabio, who is on a similar mission to Akwa Ibom, landed in Uyo at the weekend, accompanied by other federal appointees from the state, including the senior special advisor to the president on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Ita Enang. The government of Nigeria has opened the portal for the registration of the 2021-2022 bilateral education agreement scholarship for deserving Nigerians. The BEA scholarship is awarded to both undergraduate and postgraduate students and tenable in some selected countries in Africa, Europe and Asia. This information was disclosed by the Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu, in a tweet on Sunday. The BEA scholarship is an annual scholarship offered by the federal government of Nigeria to outstanding students to study abroad. Candidates nominated by the board will be required to submit to the Federal Scholarship Board the following: authenticated copies of academic certificates, data page of the current international passport, specified medical reports from a government hospital, national identity number, and police clearance certificate if necessary. The National Examinations Council, NECO, has postponed the ongoing senior secondary certificate examinations indefinitely. This was disclosed in a statement issued on Sunday by NECO Head of Information and Public Relations Division, Aziz Sani. According to him, the board's decision to postpone the exams is due to the current security challenges occasioned by the NSAS protests nationwide. Business news: the Central Bank of Nigeria says it is making efforts to implement new accounts with zero balance. Do stay with us, please.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 600 billion, and the last kobo. Oh yes, we follow the money. It's all about the business and the business of business. The gains and the losses. The bulls and bears. The rise and falls. The risk and the satisfaction of seeing the last kobo rise to millions. On KUFM's Business News, the simple and complex jargons of business just make sense. Get the trending news on the morning market, forecast, investment opportunities, policy changes, and other breakout information on the ever-busy world of business. KU Business News, Monday to Friday on our news dawn, 6:30 to 7 a.m.
Welcome back. You're still on the news done on 92.7 KUFM Benin City. Moving on to business, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has promised to promote opening of new accounts with zero balance as part of efforts to boost financial inclusion. It said this in its report on monetary, credit, foreign trade and exchange policy guidelines for fiscal years 2020 and 2021 released at the weekend. The CBN said the Shared Agency Network Expansion Facility established to enhance the provision of financial services, access points in underserved and unserved locations, and drive financial inclusion through agent banking would continue in the 2020-2021 fiscal years. He stated banks, mobile money operators and super agents would continue to render returns in the prescribed format and frequency to the CBN. The Apex Bank said the National Financial Inclusion Strategy was launched to leverage existing bank branches, agent banking, mobile money agents, and digital financial services to deliver financial services to Nigerians. The strategy was revised in 2018 with focus on 5 targets, namely female gender, youth within the age bracket of 18 to 25 years, rural dwellers, northwest and northeast regions, and MSMEs. It said the bank would intensify the implementation of the revised strategy in 2020 and 2021 fiscal years to reduce the share of the financially excluded to 5% of the adult population by 2024. Elsewhere, only 9,103,653 workers have retirement savings accounts with pension fund administrators. The National Pension Commission disclosed this in its total RSA registrations as of 31st of August 2020 latest report obtained at the weekend. PENCOM also said in its second quarter report that the RSA registrations grew to 9,039,727 as at second quarter 2020, moving from 8,998,580 in the first quarter 2020, representing a growth of 0.46%. The growth was attributed to the increased level of compliance by the private sector as a result of the various steps taken by the Commission, as well as marketing strategies of the PFAs. The pension industry recorded a 0.45% growth in the scheme membership during the second quarter of 2020, moving from 9.06 million contributors at the end of the preceding quarter to 9.1 million. However, it added, membership of the closed pension fund administration scheme declined by 73 members to 17,125, while the approved existing scheme membership remained unchanged at 40,951 as at the second quarter of 2020. And finally, in business, the Oil Farmers Association of Nigeria says the ability of farmers to meet the expected output of wheat produced locally has suffered a setback due to inadequate seeds. The president, Afan Kabir Ibrahim, said efforts of the government through the Anchor Borrowers Program to attain wheat sufficiency were being hampered by many factors. According to him, the volume of improved seeds to meet the demand of farmers and processors was insufficient. Ibrahim noted that technical knowledge transfer on the production of improved seeds was also a challenge. He predicted that the plan of the Central Bank of Nigeria to dedicate 150,000 hectares of land for wheat production would be hampered by inadequate seeds. Meanwhile, the president, Wheat Growers Association of Nigeria, Salim Mohammed, explained that the spread of the coronavirus, which started during the harvest period of wheat, affected output. Mohammed explained that they set a price of 180,000 naira per metric ton, but the market demand raised the price to 240,000 naira per metric ton, which the off-takers were not willing to accept. According to him, the inability of farmers to harvest products on time led to losses, and that the farmers are unable to meet market demand for the product. And that's it on business. Over now to sports, where Jimmy Vardy scores as Leicester City record first away win at Arsenal in 47 years. Eagles Agbeka has more in our sports bulletin this morning.
England striker Jamie Vardy came off the bench to score a customary goal against Arsenal, sent Leicester City to a 1-0 win and within a point of the English Premier League table with a first win away since 1973. The 33-year-old had missed 2 games with a calf injury but was reintroduced after a largely sterile opening hour at Emirates Stadium and promptly ended a 262-minute Leicester goal drought in the league. Vardy headed home fellow substitute Frederick Honda's smart pass in the 80th minute to bring up a remarkable 11th Premier League goal against the Gunners in 12 appearances. Until his arrival, the forces had barely threatened, but they have now won their opening 3 away league games for the first time. Arsenal were disappointing, and despite dominating possession and having 12 shots on goal, never like seriously testing Leicester City's goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel as they slipped to a first home league defeat of 2020. The Gunners thought they had scored in the opening minutes when Lacazette headed in from a corner, but Granit Xhaka and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang were both offside. Leicester stay at 4th with 12 points from 6 matches, while Arsenal are 10th with 9 points. Elsewhere, Southampton defeated Everton 2-0 at the St. Mary's Stadium, while Wolverhampton Wanderers played out a 1-1 draw with Newcastle United. And finally, now to tennis, where Germany's tennis star Alexander Zverev won his second ATP indoor title in a week with a 6-2, 6-1 victory over Argentina's Diego Schwartzman in Cologne on Sunday. The world number 7 needed only 1 hour and 11 minutes to seal his 13th ATP title, and he took the US Open finalist record against second seed Schwartzman to 2-2. Zverev had been troubled by a hip problem earlier in the week, but he strode to an 8th straight win in Cologne and is set to compete at the ATP finals in London next month, where he will seek to regain the title he won for the first time in 2018. Meanwhile, at the European Open in Antwerp, Belgium, Frenchman Hugo Humbert claimed his second ATP title with a 6-1, 7-6 win over Australian's Alex de Minaur. The 22-year-old who saved 4 match points to beat Britain's Dan Evans in the semi-finals on Saturday, saw the 8th seed in 1 hour 37 minutes and is set to rise from 38 in the world rankings to number 32. And that's sports news on KFM's News Dawn. My name is Ewusa Agbeka, and back to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Agosa, for those sports stories. And of course, with those stories, we come to the end of our package this morning. But before we leave, a quick recap of the headlines. We told you that Governor Obaseki has faulted the entire on the Edo warehouse. We also told you that the Edo public and private schools are to reopen today, and 4 people have died in the Kogi stampede for palliatives. Do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget, you can listen to us anywhere in the world by visiting our website at www.kufm.net, or you can download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. We are also live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria, and you can also listen to us on radiogarden.com. KUFM News Dawn was produced by Nusahai Uwadiai. I am Charles Opperum saying thanks for listening and good morning.